Welcome back to my channel. Thanks for watching again. And so today we'll be teaching on how to draft a corset for beginners. So if you're new to this, let's dive right into it. Thank you. Okay, so I'm beginning with the neckline. So you mark your neck width and your neck depth. Do not forget you are drafting on fold, and so this is going to be measured halfway. So for the width, you can go for about 3.5 inches and about 2.5 for the depth, which is like standard, but depending on how deep you want it to be. But that's for a different day. After that, I'm marking half measurement of my shoulder measurement. So if your shoulder measurement is about 16, you mark 8 inches from the edge of the paper to where the 8 inches stops, and then we go down by about 1 inch and slant it into our neckline, which is giving us our shoulder slope. I hope you're getting that. And so right next, I'm measuring my shoulder to bust, shoulder to waist, and shoulder to hip. Now when you're trying to measure out your corset or your bustier, styles like that require you to have measurements of your under bust. And so when you're taking measurements for your shoulder to your bust, you also need to take your shoulder to your under bust as well. And so that is what I am marking out here and trying to get a straight line so as to place our body measurements accordingly. Now at this point, you can see I have identified each line for ease because the lines might get so much at some point and you can easily get confused. Now what I'm doing is drafting out my chest line, which is about 2 inches above your bust line. What I need this for now is for my armhole, to get my armhole. So this is super important. You mark your armhole from your shoulder to your chest line. And so the next thing I'm doing now is marking my nipple to nipple measurement. So because I said earlier we are drafting on fold, if your nipple to nipple measurement is 6, on this paper you will mark 3. If your nipple measurement is 8, on the paper you would mark 4 because you are dividing that into 2. And so you would mark your nipple to nipple measurement from your bust line to the full length of the top. Also, I am connecting the middle of my shoulder into the nipple to nipple measurement on the bust line. This is important if you want to take a shoulder draft, a shoulder dart. Sorry for that. A shoulder dart, and also when we are trying to get a dart from the chest line to our neckline. We'll see that, we'll show that later. And so the side going outwards, which is facing our armhole, normally has a larger dart than the side facing the neckline, which is going towards the edge of the paper. And so the side that is coming out, that I'm marking now, which is, like I said, is facing the armhole, which is facing outwards, is typically about 2-3 times larger than the other side. So for now, for this side, I'm marking about 1.5 inch, and on that other side, I'm marking about 0.5 inch. And so what I do is I draw a line from the under bust to the full length. So once I get my ruler, I draw a straight line from the under bust to the full length. Now once you get that done, once you get your ruler, you are not going to draw a straight line to your bust area. Instead, you get your curve, your French curve, or you can use your free hand. It's easy to do with your hand as well. And then you curve it into your bust line. So you curve both lines. So that is quite similar to how you will get your bustier top pattern. And so once we've figured that out, I hope you are following and getting what I'm doing. At this point, I mark out my side darts. Now to get your side darts, we do this so that the top in front and the top at the back are of the same length and they align equally, because your back does not have a bust but your front has a bust. So we do this by measuring the shoulder to the waist in front minus the shoulder to the waist at the back, and so whatever inches we have separately, let's say it's 2.5, let's say it's 1.5, you mark that out, and you mark that out from your bust line, and then you connect it from the shoulder darts to get your 1.5 and mark that out. So as you can see there, I drew a small, like 0.5 inch line at the other edge. What I did is, I'm so sorry this paper is quite small, I hope you get what I'm doing. So what I'm doing there is getting the middle of that other part and then drawing a tiny dart as well. So I have double darts because it's a corset. We normally when we think of corset, we think of snatched waist, and so you will need an extra dart again. So what this is doing is taking inches away from your waist, but this dart is smaller. So what I took there was about 0.25 inches, which is half an inch from both sides of the dart. So the middle of that other side that is facing the neckline, you take a dart that is taking 0.25 inches from both sides, and then you connect it into it. So once you take that 0.25 inches you are taking is going to be taken on your waistline, because we are snatching the waist, and so that's significantly the only part that we are snatching from the whole body, because the previous dart we took is going to be restored back when we are putting our body measurements. So as you are marking our body measurements now, you will include the big dart you took before, and you add that back on the body measurements you are marking, and then you would include your sewing allowances. So do not forget, you are including your bust measurement divided by 4 plus your sewing allowance, your waist measurement divided by 4 plus your sewing allowance. Also, do not forget to add the dart that you took before. The only dart we will not add is the small one we took at the other edge, because we are using that to snatch our waist since it's a corset. The purpose of having a corset is to make your waist slimmer and more fitted than it would. That's what a corset does. And so that's taking out 0.25 inches on both sides will snatch about 1 inch in that front side, and then another 1 inch at the back side. So what I'm doing now is getting my neckline. This is fully based on what you want. So as you can see, I'm extending it above the chest line, so that is now my neckline, and I'm making a curve into the armhole, which will then go to our bust line as we've drawn before. And now I'm making use of the dart we took from the bust to the shoulder line, and I'm taking a fuller dart on the side facing the neckline, but a smaller dart on the side facing the armhole, which if you notice or you pay attention, is the opposite we did on the bottom of the top that we are doing above on the neckline on the top. And so whatever you take from that dart, measure it out with your tape rule and include it back on your chest line, which is connecting to your armhole. Do not forget, you need to include that dart back so that it will fit your body. This is just a way to tighten up the neckline, but if you do not add it back, it will be too tight and it will not fit you. And so this is the back, and what I'm doing is marking out a point at the back that we would use for our corset lacing. You know, the way you would take about 2 inches away for zip allowances, but what you would do now is you would not add extra allowance. Your back measurement you will take out of it for your corset lacing, so that there can be that space at the back. You don't need to add extra space for the corset lacing. Then you add your darts and you're good to go. Do not forget to add the other dart in the middle, which is tiny, yeah, which is the slimmer dart here that I took, which is the 0.25 extra darts at the back. It's super important for snatching your waist. Thanks for watching, guys.